It began with a shadow. Not a frightening one, but the kind that lingered too long to be accidental. Every time Sam walked through the quiet market street at dawn, she sensed someone watching her from behind the row of old tamarind trees. At first, she ignored it, thinking it was just her imagination. But one morning, as she turned around, she saw him, an elderly man with tired eyes and trembling hands clutching a worn leather hat. He said nothing. He only stared, as if searching for something on her face. Sam felt a strange chill crawl down her spine. His gaze was not hostile. It was sorrowful, almost familiar. Yet she was certain she had never seen him before. She tried to speak, but before a word could leave her lips, the man slowly turned away and vanished into the misty alley, leaving behind a silence that echoed louder than any conversation.
The encounters did not stop. He appeared outside the fruit stall when she sold goods in the afternoon. He stood across the temple when she went to light incense for her late mother. He never approached. He only watched, sometimes with tears in his eyes, sometimes gripping his chest as if restraining a buried memory. It was not fear that began to haunt Sam. It was curiosity. Who was he? And why did he look at her as if she was someone he had lost long ago? When she finally told Ly about it, his expression darkened in a way she had never seen before. He did not dismiss her fears. He did not laugh or call her paranoid. Instead, he placed his hand gently over hers and said one quiet sentence that sent a tremor through her heart. "I will find out who he is, no matter what it takes." Ly was not a man who overlooked details. The very next morning, instead of heading to the office, he followed Sam quietly from a distance, keeping his footsteps light as she made her usual route through the town. Just as she had described, the mysterious old man appeared once more, standing beside the stone bridge, half hidden beneath the branches of a banyan tree. His stance was neither aggressive nor defensive.
He looked fragile, almost as if a single gust of wind could blow him away. But when his eyes landed onto Sam, they ignited with life. Ly's fists clenched, not out of anger, but from the unbearable weight of unspoken questions. Was this man stalking her, protecting her, or was he carrying a truth that could shatter everything? The old man noticed Ly before Ly spoke. His body tensed like a startled deer, ready to flee. But Ly stepped forward calmly, blocking his path without hostility. "Who are you?" Ly asked, voice low yet firm. "And why are you following her?" The old man's lips trembled. His gaze flickered past Ly's shoulder toward Sam, who watched from afar with wide, confused eyes. Something in his expression collapsed, pride, guilt, or maybe years of restraint. But even then, he said nothing. He shook his head, as if words were too heavy to speak, and turned away. But Ly was faster. He grabbed the man's wrist, not forcefully, but with the weight of someone who refused to let go of the truth. "If you know something about her past," Ly said, voice tightening with emotion, "you owe her an answer." For a long moment, the old man did not move. Then, slowly, he whispered one sentence, so faint that Ly almost thought he imagined it. "I have owed her since the day she was born." The first rays of morning light filtered through the window, casting pale gold on the old man's sleeping face. Ly had barely slept. She sat on the edge of the wooden chair, her hands clasped tightly together, her heart pounding with new questions she was afraid to voice. When the old man stirred awake, his eyes met hers. For a moment, neither spoke. There was no hostility, no fear, only a quiet, heavy weight of unspoken truth. "Sir?" Ly whispered, her voice trembling. "Who are you to Sam?" The old man did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached into the drawer beside his bed and pulled out a carefully folded photograph, worn at the edges as though held 1,000 times before. Hands shaking faintly, he offered it to her. Ly unfolded it slowly. Her breath caught in her throat. It was a younger version of the old man, standing beside Tim, the woman who raised her, and Sam. She was smiling, happily, not as the strict, distant mother Ly remembered, but as a woman full of hope. "Your mother was not always cold," the old man said quietly, his voice rough with memory. "She once believed in love." Lee's fingers trembled around the photograph as emotions clashed inside her: disbelief, confusion, sorrow, and something dangerously close to sympathy for the mother she had always resented. If you loved her, Lee forced the words out, then why did she raise Sam alone? Why did she suffer all these years? The old man closed his eyes. Because I failed her, he whispered. Silence wrapped around them like a thick fog. Lee watched him, waiting, and for the first time, she saw not just a mysterious stranger, but a broken man carrying a guilt heavier than she could comprehend. Her heart ached unexpectedly. For him, for her mother, for the forgotten past neither of them had spoken of, and for the truth that was about to change everything. Before the old man could continue, the front door burst open with a loud slam. Lee jolted to her feet. Sam stood there, breathless, eyes blazing, fists clenched. His chest heaved as though he had run all the way to this forgotten house. Sweat dripped down his temples, but it was not exhaustion in his stare. It was betrayal. His eyes flicked to Lee, then to the old man sitting weakly on the bed. Is it true? Sam's voice cracked like thunder. Lee froze. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Sam stepped forward, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. Say it, I heard everything. The old man looked at Sam with trembling lips. To Sam, don't. Sam snapped. Don't say my name like you have the right. For a moment, silence smothered the room. Sam's shoulders shook. All these years, I thought I was nothing to anyone, not even my mother. I thought I was just a burden she was forced to carry. Lee felt her heart crack at his words. Sam's voice broke. And now I hear that maybe I had a father all along, a father who chose to disappear rather than fight for me. The old man's eyes glistened. I never stopped looking for you, he whispered. I tried. Tried. Sam's laughter was sharp, bitter. Where were you when she cried alone every night? Where were you when people mocked us for not having a father? Where were you when I begged for someone to show up at school meetings like all the other kids? The old man bowed his head, tears slipping silently down his wrinkled cheeks. Sam clenched his fists so tight his knuckles turned white. You don't get to cry. Not when you were the reason we suffered. Lee took a step forward. Sam, don't defend him. Sam snapped, voice cracking. His eyes were red, overflowing with years of pain. You don't understand. You still had someone to protect you. I had no one. Sam clenched his fists so tight his knuckles turned white. You don't get to cry. Not when you were the reason we suffered. Lee took a step forward. Sam, don't defend him. Sam snapped, voice cracking. His eyes were red, overflowing with years of pain. You don't understand. You still had someone to protect you. I had no one. Sam's expression wavered. His rage trembled. His breath hitched. For the first time, he looked not like a furious young man demanding answers, but like a lonely child who had waited too long for someone to say those words. The room stood on the edge of breaking like glass, straining under too much pressure. Sam's chest rose and fell rapidly. His eyes darted between Lee and the old man. For a moment, he looked like he might scream again, but instead, he whispered, I don't know what to do. His voice was small, lost. Lee slowly approached him, step by step, afraid one sudden move would shatter him completely. You don't have to decide anything today, she said softly. You don't have to forgive, or accept, or even believe. Just breathe. Sam's trembling eyes met hers. Then why does it hurt so much? Because, Lee whispered, her voice cracking, you've been strong for too long. Something inside Sam broke. His legs gave out, and he fell to his knees. Lee caught him before he hit the ground. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him as tightly as she could. For a heartbeat, Sam didn't respond. Then slowly, as though his entire body finally surrendered, he buried his face into her shoulder and cried. Not the angry tears from before, but the kind that came from years of silence. The old man trembled from across the room, watching with hollow eyes. He didn't dare move closer. He didn't dare speak. He simply wept silently, guilt pressing down on his chest like a boulder. Ly held Sam like she was afraid he would disappear. Her voice was a whisper lost in his tears. "You're not alone anymore." Minutes felt like hours as Sam's sobs slowly faded. His breathing steadied, though his eyes were still red and swollen. He pulled away slightly, wiping his face with the back of his hand. "I'm not ready to forgive him." Ly nodded. "You don't have to." Sam looked toward the old man, not with fury anymore, but with exhaustion. "Don't call me son," he said in a low voice. "Not yet." The old man clutched his chest, nodding slowly, as though the words pierced deeper than any scream could have. Sam stood up, swaying slightly. Ly supported him. They walked toward the door. But before stepping out, Sam paused. Without turning back, he whispered, barely audible, "If you really want me to believe anything you just said, then prove it." And with that he left, leaving behind a man drowning in regret, and a promise that the future would not be built on words, but on actions. There are wounds that never bleed, yet they ache louder than any broken bone. To Sam's story reminds us that the deepest scars are not carved into skin, but into memory. A child abandoned, a past filled with unanswered questions, and a sudden confrontation with the very man who caused his suffering. Such pain cannot be healed with apologies alone. One of the greatest mistakes humans make is believing that time equals healing. But time does not automatically cure heartbreak. Effort does. Regret is not redemption. Tears are not transformation. If one truly wishes to mend what has been broken, they must prove it through consistent, patient actions. Ly's presence beside Sam teaches another powerful truth. Love is not about fixing someone, it is about holding them while they fix themselves. She did not force him to forgive. She did not demand that he accept the past. She simply stayed, quietly, steadily, unconditionally, and sometimes, that is more powerful than any grand gesture. To those who carry pain from childhood, you are not weak for crying, and you are not ungrateful for refusing to forgive too soon. Healing is not a performance. It is a personal journey taken at your own pace. To those who have caused pain, regret is only the beginning. Saying "I'm sorry" is not enough. If you broke someone with your actions, you must repair yourself before expecting them to trust you again. In the end, this story teaches us that family is not defined by blood, but by effort, presence, and love. Real strength is not suppressing tears, it is allowing yourself to feel, to fall, and to rise again. And real redemption is not spoken, it is lived.